Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode. I want to sort of do a mini-series. I always really like Studio Ghibli and I thought it'd be fun to try and do a mini-series where I pick 3 movies and do a reinterpretation or redraw a keyframe in my own way and how I would go about it. I'm gonna start off with one of my personal favorite, Kiki's Delivery Service. It's a movie that I really like and it's super fun because the inspiration for the movie came from Stockholm. I remember reading that they actually went to Stockholm to gather inspiration and reference, in particular an area called Old Town in Stockholm, and I can totally see it in the movie. Growing up in Sweden, there was a lot of winter and cold, and I thought it'd be fun to do a version where maybe Kiki is doing her delivery during winter season. And maybe her bow tie, it has to glow so she's spotted during winter, because usually it's a lot darker during winter season. And that's kind of the core inspiration for the idea before I even got started. But with that said, I think we're ready to jump into the painting. And probably the scariest thing for me is definitely starting with a white canvas. So I always try to just quickly add in some paint. And try to also add in some paint I think can be used later part of the image or is a big part of the image. As is the fact that we're drawing a winter scene and it's going to be a lot of blues, adding that as a first layer kind of works as a way of carving out from it. So since we have that blue, we don't need to add it itself. We can just add the other colors. And I was thinking like maybe it could be a city scene. We can get a bit of water and all those yellow lights because yellow and blue are quite nice complementary colors. I think it would work pretty well. So I'm trying to keep it very simple and just blocking things just very graphical, just cubes and shapes indicating where the biggest source of the light is. Since we're also flying up high in the air, Kiki's going to be on her broom, we just want to suggest the background, and I think that's one of the tricky things whenever you draw environment paintings or big city scenes in general. There is so much visual noise and detail. How do you get that across? How do you suggest it? I'll share some tips I personally like and only show some examples from other paintings how I like to do it. But the main thing I find super helpful is just you gotta get the big shapes in and then just adding a few hints here and there. And these are the brushes I'll be using throughout this video mostly. These are some new custom brushes I made for this video, and these are something I want to keep building upon and start experimenting a bit more. I want to find a way of giving access to my brushes, and I want to try and create some very custom and unique brushes that I feel like I would be more comfortable sharing, because the current one, I feel like they kind of work, but they're missing something. So throughout the course of this series, I'll be experimenting with a few different brushes, and hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to share them with you as well. And typically what I like to do when I feel the background is in a better state, that's when I like to add the character in. I kind of knew where I wanted to place Kiki. She was going to be pretty central and focal in the image. But at a certain stage when I feel comfortable adding the character in, I kind of pop it in. And it also works as a guide of where I don't need to spend as much time, because whatever's behind her, we don't need to spend much time painting and adding detail there. If we do shrink her down, there's going to be some area around her that's going to pop out. So it's just as a general guideline of what areas to kind of focus on and what not to focus on, because also we don't want any high detail surrounding her to steal away attention from it, because she's the star of the show. And I'm starting to get to a stage with the background where I'm feeling more comfortable. There's a general read of what's in the light, what's in the shadow. And that's why I helped earlier on, because if you see how much blue there is across the whole painting, that's why I wanted to start with a much more blue underpainting and as a base to carve from. I started also getting a bit confused of what's behind Kiki and the drawing, so just masking it out and adding in flat colors to select her out from the background just helps me read her a bit better and focus on where should I put my attention in the background, because it wasn't quite reading it for me as much as I wanted. And also whenever drawing cities or big landscapes, there is so much noise. As you saw in the reference, there's so much detail everywhere, and it's, for me, I found it, if you see some of my previous work, I like to just add some big shapes in and just hint with some highlights there and some, generally like when you do darker scenes as well, if you can just add some pops of highlights and make them really tiny, and you do a few of them spread out, not all equal next to each other, it really gives a sense of a city and how it looks from afar. And I think it's a pretty simple and neat trick to help give scale to your image and really make it feel like it's a city that's alive and that there's people in it. Because if you don't have any, as you can see here, I popped in the lights, it really adds the extra flavor of the fact that people live here, it's a city, and I'm not doing it everywhere, I'm just trying to spread it out wherever it looks suitable in the image. And as I feel more comfortable with the background, that's when I naturally transition more to the characters in my painting. I mentioned it before, but I generally feel more comfortable with characters than backgrounds. I also added the cat on the broom, but I decided to remove it. Because I was thinking, you know, she's doing this during winter season. Maybe the cat would be too cold for this. The cat may be sweating at home since it's just maybe doing some express errands. I thought it'd be fun to kind of leave the cat out, even though I love drawing cats. And I'm trying now to just focus on drawing her out and adding color and light and shadow to her and try to make it feel like it belongs in the image. Because I'm painting this at a later stage, it's important that I match the lighting and the colors of the rest of the image. I'm trying to keep it also very simple and just focus on indicating what's important. I really liked the bow tie. Later on I thought, imagine if it was glowing, just to kind of give it like a bit of a Christmassy vibe. Because as I was doing this, my wife came by. She's like, "Oh, that looks like a really fun Christmas card." And then so I was like, "Yeah, it kind of has a Christmas vibe." So I started pushing more on the whole Christmas feel of the image. And maybe this is her during Christmas season doing some express package deliveries for some people who maybe forgot to send to a relative or something like that. And I played around with the scarf as well. I thought it was a pretty fun element to have it flapping behind her as she's flying through doing all these deliveries. And when I feel comfortable with the character more, that's when I like to move on to the face. And again, I just want to try and keep it simple as I keep sculpting it out and trying to make it read early on before I add more detail to it, because it's easier to do changes when keeping it simple. And I think we're closing to wrapping it up, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I mentioned earlier as well, I want to turn this into a 3-part series. So next weekend I'll also do one episode inspired by one of the movies. I'm also really curious, which is your personal favorite? Which one maybe influenced you the most as you were growing up? Be sure to tune in next Friday at the same time, and I also want to wish you a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.